Right boys, so I'm going to show you how to make tallow. Now why am I showing you how to make tallow? Well, the only reason I learned how to make tallow was because I couldn't get this from my local supermarket, butcher or the farm, so I thought I'd just make my own. So what is tallow? Tallow is a rendered form of beef or mutton fat that primarily consists of triglycerides. Now I had to Google what some of these words mean, so I'll just go through what we've got. Mutton refers to the meat of a mature sheep, typically over 1 year old. Rendered refers to the process of heating the fat to separate the fat from the protein and other solids present in the tissue. This process typically involves melting the fat at a controlled temperature, which causes it to separate from the connective tissue, proteins and water. The melted fat is then strained to remove any remaining solid particles, resulting in a clear liquid fat known as tallow. Rendering helps to purify the fat, removing impurities and solids that may cause the fat to spoil more quickly. The resulting tallow is stable at room temperature and has a long shelf life. And then triglycerides are basically just fats. So tallow is just cow or sheep fat that's been rendered down, so heated, to remove the fat, and then you strain it out so you've got no solids, you're just left with a fat. So what is tallow used for? Tallow can be used for cooking and food preparation. Tallow can be used as a cooking fat for frying, roasting or sautéing. It has a high smoke point, making it suitable for high heat cooking methods. And this is the main reason why I wanted to make tallow for cooking with. Cosmetics and skincare. Tallow is sometimes used in cosmetics and skincare products for its moisturising properties. It can be found in products such as lotions, balms and lip care items. And this is the other reason why I wanted to make it. I wanted to try using tallow as a moisturiser. You can also use this for soap and candle making. Industrial applications such as lubricants, greases and a source of renewable energy and biofuels. And then traditional medicine. In some traditional medicine practices, tallow has been used topically for its purported healing properties. I'm also trying the tallow. I've got a scar on my arm and I'm just going to apply it to that daily and see if it makes any difference. I'm not that bothered about getting rid of the scar. I'd just be interested to see if it is any good. I have used some creams in the past and they do actually get rid of scars, but if you look at the list of ingredients, they've got some crazy ingredients that I can't even pronounce. Now it's probably okay, but tallow is again a single ingredient option, and I'd just be interested to see if these natural single ingredient remedies work as good as things you would buy with all these crazy ingredients. Another reason I decided to use tallow, because I have been using butter, ghee and olive oil to cook in, and I'll do a video on ghee, probably how to make ghee and the benefits of ghee over butter. But I always thought that olive oil was like the go-to, you just cook everything in olive oil. But olive oil has actually got quite a low smoke point, and at a certain temperature you denature the olive oil and it becomes unhealthy. Butter, I think as well, the smoke point is quite low, and if you've got lactose intolerance or dairy intolerance, and there is a difference, lactose is something to do with the sugar in milk, and a dairy intolerance is something to do with a protein, so it's slightly different, I think. That might be an issue with butter. Now you can use ghee because ghee is clarified butter, which means it's like a purified version, so you're taking out some of these parts that might be an issue. So if you're lactose intolerant, sometimes ghee is a better option. And then tallow would be one step further because it doesn't have lactose in it, and it doesn't have the proteins in dairy. So it's an animal-based product. So I've gone through the progression. I started off with olive oil, then realised the smoke point was low and at a certain temperature it denatures. Then I moved on to butter, and then because I wasn't sure whether I was lactose intolerant, I moved on to ghee, and the smoke point of ghee is higher and you don't have as much issues with lactose. And now because I'm convinced that beef and like different things from cows are just magic, I've moved over to tallow. So I've kind of gone through that progression. Benefits of tallow over butter and olive oil. Olive oil, extra virgin olive oil, has a lower smoke point compared to other cooking oils like canola oil and avocado oil. Heating olive oil beyond its smoke point can lead to the production of harmful compounds and a burnt taste. High smoke point. Tallow typically has a higher smoke point compared to butter and olive oil. It means it can be heated to higher temperatures without burning, making it suitable for frying and high heat cooking methods like searing and deep frying. Longer shelf life. Tallow has a longer shelf life compared to butter. This is because tallow is rendered fat, which removes impurities and moisture that can cause spoilage. Properly stored, tallow can last for a long time without going rancid. Butter contains small amounts of lactose, a type of sugar found in milk. Tallow does not contain lactose and is therefore suitable for those with lactose intolerances. So what are the nutritional benefits of tallow? Number 1. Saturated fats. Tallow is primarily composed of saturated fats. While saturated fats have been controversial in the past, recent research suggests that they may not be as harmful as once thought, especially when part of a balanced diet. Number 2. Conjugated linoleic acid. Tallow contains CLA, a type of fatty acid that has been associated with various health benefits, including reduced body fat and improved metabolism. Number 3. Vitamin E. Tallow contains small amounts of vitamin E, which acts as an antioxidant in the body. Antioxidants can help neutralize free radicals, which can cause cellular damage and contribute to chronic disease. So it combats that. Number 4. Cholesterol. While cholesterol has a negative reputation, it is actually an essential nutrient that plays a crucial role in hormone production and cell membrane structure. Tallow contains cholesterol, which is necessary for various physiological functions in the body. Number 5. Fat-soluble vitamins. Tallow also contains fat-soluble vitamins such as vitamin A and vitamin D. Number 6. Trace minerals. Tallow contains trace amounts of minerals such as iron, zinc, selenium and phosphorus. These minerals are important for various physiological functions in the body, including immune function, bone health and energy metabolism. So how do you make tallow? You're going to need beef or mutton fat, a knife, a cutting board, a large pot or slow cooker, cheesecloth or fine mesh strainer, and mason jars or something to store it in. Start by obtaining beef or mutton fat. Ideally you want fat from around the kidneys. This is called suet, as it renders the best tallow. Remove any meaty bits or blood vessels from the fat. Using a sharp knife and cutting board, cut the fat into small pieces. Smaller pieces will render more efficiently because of the increased surface area. Place the fat pieces in a large pot or slow cooker. Add water to just cover the fat. So wherever the line of fat comes to, pour water in until you're just above that. Heat the pot or slow cooker over medium heat. The fat will begin to melt and release its liquid. Allow the fat to simmer gently, stirring occasionally to prevent sticking or burning. Be patient, this process can take several hours. As the fat melts, it will separate into liquid fat, tallow, and solid bits, crackling. Allow all the water to evaporate, and then once the fat has completely melted and the crackling has turned golden brown, remove the pot from the heat. Line a fine mesh strainer or cheesecloth over a clean container or mason jar. Carefully pour the liquid fat, tallow, through the strainer to remove any remaining solid bits and impurities. Allow the strained tallow to cool to room temperature. It will solidify as it cools. Once cooled, seal the container or mason jar with a tight-fitting lid. Store the tallow in a cool, dark place. It can be stored at room temperature or refrigerated depending on your preference. So for this batch I used 1 kilogram of fat and I ended up with a full mason jar and then a smaller jar, which is the jars that I get the honey in. Now I probably could have ended up with a little bit more, but I was impatient and I was just sort of seeing how the process worked, so I was happy with that. But I think if you carried on and you just keep rendering it down and keep boiling it, you'll get more. The crackling hadn't gone fully dry and crispy, so I probably could have got more fat out of it. So tallow has been used for thousands of years and now you know how to make it. So if that's something you want to implement, now you know. I like to know whenever I'm adding something to my diet or just changing something, I like to know how it's made rather than just buying it off the shelf. And this helps you weed out unnecessary ingredients as well. So when you buy a product, like especially skincare, if you look at skincare products, they're full of loads of ingredients. And where I'm not in the skincare industry and I don't really know how it works, I would just assume they need to be in there. But again, that's just for preservation, that's just to keep it on the shelf and keep it stable. But when you learn about it, thousands of years ago when they used tallow as like moisturizers and for cooking, they wouldn't have had these chemical ingredients. So they must not be necessary. So I like to learn whenever I'm adding something like ghee. I didn't know what ghee was. I knew it was related to butter, but I didn't know what the difference was. It looks basically the same, it's just harder. So I like to do my research, and that's what I did with tallow. It's been used for thousands of years, and now you know how to make it. So hope that helps. Have a good day. See you tomorrow.